Hello, everyone. This is the second episode. Last time, I shared my first key strategy for studying abroad in the US. Choosing a unique major. I emphasized taking the narrow path. Now, let's talk about the second point. The second key strategy is be a human. Now, I don't mean to give you a lecture on how to be a nice person, nor is this about morality. Rather, it's about the importance of relationships. To be more specific, I want to talk about networking. The significance of making contacts through a human network. I'll share how I got into a top-tier PhD program. As I mentioned in the first episode, I have already completed my PhD. I earned it in the U.S. and now work as an engineer in a top 10 ranked company within my field. Looking back at every crucial moment in my journey, I wasn't necessarily the most skilled, but the support of people around me played a significant role. That's why I want to emphasize the power of connections. The university where I did my PhD is a highly prestigious school. My major was mechanical engineering. I won't mention the school's name, because the international academic community is quite small, and I don't want to reveal my identity. As you can see, I also cover my face. Why? Because I am a somewhat well-known scholar in this field. People would quickly figure out who I am. It's not that I mind people knowing me, but I want to speak candidly, and revealing my identity might make that difficult. So I choose to remain anonymous. How I got into a top 10 PhD program. According to the U.S. News ranking, the school I attended ranks in the top 10 in my field. But I didn't get in immediately after undergrad. When I first applied after my bachelor's, I applied to many top universities, but I got rejected from all of them. One big reason, my GPA was bad. By the end of my third year, I had barely passed 3.45. In my senior year, I tried to raise my GPA by taking easier courses, including lower-level computer science classes. Even with those efforts, my final GPA was only 3.4.5. That's not a terrible GPA, but for top-tier U.S. schools, most admitted students have close to 4.0 or even above. Yet I managed to enter a top 10 PhD program. How? The key was human networking. Since I didn't get into a top school directly, I first enrolled in a master's program at a school ranked around 50 in the U.S. It wasn't a bad school, but not top tier either. This school happened to be in a neighboring state. Just a 2-hour drive from my dream school, the top 10 university. So when I was finishing my master's, I applied to that dream school again. This time, my application was placed in pending status for 6 months. Essentially, this meant I was waitlisted, which is usually not a good sign. But here's where networking came in. The power of direct contact. Since I was only 2 hours away, I decided to personally visit the university. Before visiting, I emailed every relevant professor in the mechanical engineering department. In my emails, I introduced myself as a master's student from a nearby university and expressed interest in visiting their research lab. I contacted around 100 professors, including faculty members from other relevant fields, like electrical engineering and bioengineering. Out of those 100 professors, only 4 responded positively. That's just 4%, but that was enough. So I drove 2 hours to meet them. Among those 4, 3 professors were indifferent, but one professor stood out. This professor believed that even if a student is currently lacking in skill, as long as they have a dream and don't give up, they will succeed. The key professor's support. I gave a PowerPoint presentation about my research to this professor. Honestly, I could tell he wasn't impressed. He asked tough questions that I couldn't answer well. I left thinking I had no chance. But then something unexpected happened. Despite my poor performance, the professor said, "You seem to have a strong dream. I believe someone like you would be a great addition to our school." He wrote a recommendation letter to the admissions committee, a powerful email that changed everything. The next day, he emailed the admissions committee and CC'd me. His email was just 2 sentences. "This student is a good candidate. Admit him." No, please, no formal requests, just a command. Clearly, this professor had high status within the department. And guess what? The The very next day, the admissions committee emailed me. "We will process your admission." Just like that, I was in. Overcoming the last hurdle, GRE scores. Now, foreign students usually need TOEFL scores. But since I had earned a U.S. master's degree, my TOEFL requirement was waived. However, GRE scores were mandatory, and I had terrible GRE scores. A few days later, the admissions office emailed me again saying, "Your GRE scores don't meet our minimum requirement. We're having trouble processing your admission." So I forwarded this email to the professor. Again, he responded to the admissions office with another powerful email. "I have personally met this student. He has a vision and strong determination. Our school needs someone like him." And just like that, the admissions office approved my admission. The lesson: the U.S. system values people over scores. Reflecting on this, I was extremely lucky. But this experience also taught me an important lesson. U.S. universities don't only judge students based on scores. Unlike Korea, where admissions rely heavily on numerical rankings, U.S. professors have tremendous influence in admissions decisions. A respected professor's recommendation can override poor grades or test scores. And professors in the U.S. generally do not abuse this power. Since ethical standards are high, their opinions are taken seriously. This professor saw potential in me despite my weak academic background. He believed that passion and persistence matter more than initial talent. And that's how I got into a top 10 PhD program. Conclusion. At first, when I applied from Korea with just my GPA and test scores, I failed. But after getting my master's degree and building relationships, I succeeded. Networking made all the difference. Now, I also want to share how I got into my master's program from undergrad. But since this episode is already 20 minutes long, I'll save that for part 3. If you found this story helpful or inspiring, please like and subscribe to my channel. See you in part 3.